Welcome to the Breakthrough Mastermind podcast. I'm your host, Jenn Argue, and I facilitate masterminds for women entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses by helping others and creating long-lasting financial independence. I'm so excited for our guest today, Jenn Possick. She is a member of my mastermind and actually just renewed for another year. I'm so excited. She is a Facebook and Instagram ad strategist that helps 6- and 7-figure coaches, course creators, and consultants grow their email lists and fill their webinars and launches through Facebook and Instagram ads. Through her podcast, The Ads Maven, free trainings, Ad Makers membership, and Done With You services and ads management, she is here to help you create more connections and more clients. And as a former elementary school teacher, she is really good at breaking down everything and making it easily digestible. Jenn is from St. Pete, Florida. And when she's not riding her bike to the beach, she is roller skating in the park or just chilling at home with her wife, Candace, and their 4 rescue dogs. And they are really cute dogs, let me tell you. She believes strongly that love is love, Black Lives Matter, and Black trans lives matter. She believes in intersectional feminism is for everyone, no human is illegal, and kindness is everything. So let's not wait anymore. Let's meet Jenn Possick and get ready to fall in love with Facebook ads. Hey, Jenn, so great to have you here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. One of the things I love about you is your story about how you got started in this business. It seemed like a really natural progression. And could you tell us what that story is all about?
Yeah, of course. So back in the day, I used to teach elementary school and I taught for 8 years. I spent 5 years teaching kindergarten and 3 years teaching 3rd grade. And I loved teaching. And it's so interesting because when I was a teacher, like my whole identity was wrapped around that. I loved teaching. I loved instilling a love of learning, a love of literacy. I loved my students. I did not love the politics and BS that goes along with teaching in the public elementary school system. And so when I stopped teaching, I spent some time trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I mean, it's fun. It was a few years of trying to figure stuff out, trying some things on, seeing what worked and what didn't. And in 2014, my parents had been introduced to a health and wellness product that had a big impact on them. They've been entrepreneurs as long as I can remember. And so they started sharing the product with other people. And I had worked with them in a different business before. And I had been on the phones, talking to customers. And I am very much an introvert. I wasn't even making cold calls. I was just taking calls from people that were calling with questions and stuff, but it stressed me out a lot. And so I knew I did not want to do that again, but I wanted to help them with their business. And I knew we needed an online presence. So I very much believe that I'm a lifelong learner. And I also like to implement what I learned. So I just started learning literally everything I could from everywhere I could. I watched all the webinars, I listened to all the podcasts, read all the blogs, I bought a ton of courses, and I just started applying it and implementing it and figuring out what worked and what didn't and just tweaking it. So I started by doing all the online things. So I created their website, I started their email list and all of that, and all their social media management. And pretty quickly, I learned really the power of growing your email list so that you can sell to the list. And I started running Facebook ads in January of 2015, and pretty quickly realized how fast that gave us the ability to grow. So I ended up growing my family's email list to over 160,000, which was really responsible for bringing in well over 2 million in sales. And then I just started sharing what I knew and helping others kind of do the same. And it's evolved over time. And so now I really work with coaches and course creators and online service-based business owners to help them grow their list and fill their launch events. Yeah.
I love how that natural progression happened for you from being a teacher. And, I think teachers do love to learn, and how you also have, it just shows what a big heart you have, that you wanted to help your parents with this business. And you invested into learning what you had to learn in order to help them get their presence, out there and grow that list. Like you said, having a big list is so important. And wow, did you explode their list?
I did. That is true.
Yeah. And that was mostly through the power of ads that you did that?
Yeah, it really was through Facebook ads. And now, so typically, it's funny. Typically, when I talk about Facebook ads, I mean Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram, or now I should say Meta owns both. But at the time, this was before Facebook owned Instagram. So it really was just Facebook ads back then.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So you used all that love of learning and your heart to help others to get your parents to that amazing level of success. And then you turned to wanting to help others with that knowledge.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And how did you, because if your parents they were in a wellness business, was that right?
Yeah.
Then how did you move into helping people who have courses and online products?
That's a good question. It just organically kind of happened. So back in the day, I was a certified facilitator of this modality called access consciousness. It's kind of similar to like law of attraction type of stuff. And so just from being involved in that, I ended up working with other access consciousness facilitators who are similar to coaches, but a little bit different. And yeah, so I think that kind of was how it started. And then it just progressed with referrals, and just kind of naturally, that was who I was around. And so like back in the day, I started listening to Amy Porterfield's podcast and started her courses. Like my first course with her was in like 2015. I was in her last round of, oh my gosh, what was it even called? It was something lab. I can't believe I can't remember it, but it was like well before, Digital Course Academy, well before courses that convert. So I was in that world of like online courses for a long time too. So I think just being around people that were course creators and that were coaches. Yeah.
Mm. And it's funny that you bring up Amy, because that's where we met.
I know.
At Amy's conference.
As I said it, which is so funny. Yeah.
I know. That was such a beautiful conference. So fun to meet you there at the end, just to process it all.
It's so funny. Yeah. It feels like a lifetime ago, but really it was only like 2 years ago.
Anything before the pandemic sounds like a lifetime.
So true.
Yes. So I have this question that I always like to ask people. And what is the one soft skill that you see as really important to growing your business?
Yeah. So, I think it's kind of two things. I think one, like being a lifelong learner and like feeling like that is absolutely important. The biggest thing though, I think, is constantly working on mindset stuff. That, honestly, like even that's the stuff that always is holding me back. And it's always the stuff that I'm having to constantly work on. And sometimes it's similar stuff that I'm like, I already worked through this. What's even going on? But it's like when you get to a new level in your business, that's the stuff that it comes up, but it looks different. But it's true.
It never goes away, does it?
It really is always, there's always some piece to keep working on.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I saw something, some type of like meme or something about how like, oh, I started this business because I really wanted to like work on all of like my personal development stuff, which I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true because like I feel like I've had to work on myself as a person so much through wanting to grow my business, which is such a weird thing, but I think it's so true for any business owner really. And that's where like the mindset stuff just constantly comes back to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so true. And if you think about early on in your business um, when you were doing ads for your parents, let's say, or maybe when you started doing it for other people, can you think of a mindset block that you had back then that maybe you've grown through and don't struggle with so much anymore?
Oh,
Like an early one?
so it's interesting because like I think a lot of the yes, and I still like it still because stuff still comes up again that's very similar. I've had to work through so much stuff with visibility. That's one of the, like the big ones that keeps coming back. But I used to say that like I was like the best kept secret. And like, I feel like invisibility has kind of been like my superpower. Like, even to the point where like I would be like multiple times I've been standing in line at the grocery store, like waiting to check out. And like the like cashier, like literally has not seen me standing directly in front of them for like a minute. Like, where yeah, so and then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't grow my business and be the best kept secret. So sometimes even as my business has grown and it's like I'm so much more visible than I used to be, I still find myself having to revisit all of that and really consciously choose to step up and be more visible again. And sometimes it's almost like an energetic thing, and sometimes it takes like actual action, like physical action of showing up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that makes sense. I think the two always go together. And I like how you were able to identify that this is, whatever mindset block you struggle with early on is probably going to be carried with you throughout your lifetime. So, how do you, develop the skills to be able to revisit that every time it comes up with new resources that you've gathered along the way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. I love that you identified that one block and that's something that is not a tangible skill typically, for growing a business, but getting through that visibility fear is so important for stepping
Yeah,
out into bigger things.
for sure.
Yeah. So tell me about one hard skill that has really served your growth as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I think probably just really understanding funnels and how they work. And really what's needed to bring somebody into your email list, but then also into your program, into your services and all of that. Because I work with a lot of people where that's a struggle for them and they don't really understand the full thing of how that can really flow. And I don't know, I just like I understood it very intrinsically from early on, and that has served me well. Yeah.
Do you think that you're a visual person?
Oh, I'm definitely visual. Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like the funnels are always so visual, the
Yeah.
mapping.
That yeah, that totally makes sense. I know it's so funny because I just recently did like a private podcast where and talking about ads from like only audio. I'm very aware of like it is way more challenging than putting it together in like a webinar or some type of like visual way for people to see it. Yeah, I'm definitely visual. Auditory is like my last one, and then like kinesthetic would be after visual. So
Oh, I love that you know that about yourself. So, my biggest question when it comes to funnels, and I want to remind everybody listening that you have a lot of clients who are upper six figure, seven figure entrepreneurs who, you run their ads. And so
Right.
you're very successful at what you do. What do you see as the biggest mistake that people make as an ads manager?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes I see people making. Honestly, one of the biggest ones though, and I see this from everybody, is boosting posts. I see so many people boost posts and it just wastes your money. So like 95% of the time it wastes your money. So essentially Facebook's algorithm is really smart, sometimes like almost like scary smart. But one of the coolest things about it, even though it knows way too much about us, is it knows how we use Facebook, and it knows who's most likely to scroll, who's most likely to engage, who's most likely to click, and who's most likely to convert. And so as advertisers, we can use that to our advantage, because when we are running ads, the majority of the time, we probably want somebody to be signing up, converting onto our email list, or converting into a sale and making a purchase. So if that's your goal and you're boosting a post, it's not going to work. So when you're boosting a post, you're given objectives at the beginning of, hey, what do you want as the goal for this ad? So the most common one is post engagement, which means they're liking it, they're watching it if it's a video, they're commenting, clicking, or sharing. Most likely they're just going to like it though, or watch it if it's a video. And so when you boost a post, you're saying to Facebook, okay, I want you to show the ad to people in my audience that are going to be most likely to basically like this post or engage with this post. But what you really want them to do is to convert into a lead, it's not going to show them to the people that are most likely to convert. And so it ends up having much higher costs when you are running it for post engagement. Even if you're running it for traffic, it's going to show the ad to people most likely to click, but that does not mean they're most likely to convert. And one of the things that I actually talk about a fair amount is, back in the day, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have somebody like looking over my ads and helping me with them. And I made so many mistakes. I mean, as you do, I wasted a ton of time, a ton of money. But one of the things that I did, I just didn't know any better, is I ran the ads for traffic. And as soon as I learned that I should be running my ads for conversions, it cut my cost per lead in half. Wow. Because Facebook was able to optimize and send the ad to people that are going to be most likely to convert. So when you're boosting a post, it's even worse than that, because most likely people are not converting at all. So one of the biggest mistakes I see from people is they're like, I tried running ads, but nothing happened. It's like, well, of course not, because you boosted the post. So it just spent money and you got some likes, but nobody converted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that's the best explanation I've ever heard for that argument.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was really good, because I hear that a lot. And, I can always imagine why, because you have more control, but just how you explained that was really helpful. When you think about people's ads and how people, analyze them, how they come at them, there's all the different parts of the ad funnel that can be broken down and give people information as far as where attention needs to be given. What do you find is the most common break when it comes to setting up ad funnels?
Facebook pixels.
Oh,
every time it's always Facebook pixels are so hard and such a challenge for people. So when you're running your ads, so Facebook pixels are a little piece of code used to track where somebody is, kind of like Google Analytics. And you want to have a regular pixel on your landing page. And then you want to have a standard event pixel to track when somebody becomes a lead on the thank you page. So you put this lead pixel on the thank you page and it's able to say, okay, I know somebody became a lead. They signed up for the email list because they hit this page. They're being tagged as a lead. And pixels are confusing and technical. And with the iOS updates, they have shifted a bit you have to have some extra steps in place with verifying your domain and setting up aggregated events, which are all related to the pixel. And I help people so often with pixel stuff. Like when people are setting up their own ads and running them on their own and they're just not converting, more often than not, it has something to do with pixels being not properly placed or just some type of breakdown in there. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I did not expect you to say that either.
Oh, really? What did you expect the answer to be?
I think I was thinking, like if an ad's not converting well, the typical break would be between when somebody clicks on the ad and the landing page doesn't match up.
Oh, gotcha.
I think I was
Yeah.
thinking something like that, but it totally makes sense that the pixel can be
Yeah.
something we often don't think about.
Yeah. Well, and usually with like landing pages, so let's say like the cost per lead is like kind of high. That's when like you can look at like, okay, how does the landing page look? Because sometimes I'll see people do things like if the landing page is on their website, they have the menu at the top, which just can make people click away. So you don't want there to be a menu. You also want the call to action to be before somebody starts to scroll, and make sure to check that on mobile. So stuff like that can make a difference in the cost. But typically, if it's like not working at all, it's a bigger issue than that. But tweaks to the landing page definitely can make a difference in getting a better cost per lead, cost per result. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, if you were to give encouragement, let's say to somebody who they've hit the 10,000 a month mark regularly, and they want to scale and they want to use paid efforts through advertising, what would you recommend to them?
Um, oh gosh. Okay. So first off, to make sure that you're ready for ads. So there's two ways that ads really work well to help. So one is ads to continue to grow your email list, warm up a cold audience, right? We buy from those we know, like, and trust. You probably have heard that plenty of times before. And then ads to any type of launch event that you're doing. So a webinar, workshop, online challenge, private podcast. Those ads, you're going to want to run them really to your warm audience, but also to a cold audience. The cold audience is not going to be as likely to purchase, but it's still good to run them to them because then you're continuing to grow your list. Some will likely purchase. Yeah. So making sure that you have all the pieces in place for that and that those are working. And then if they are, that's how you know that you're like really ready to start to run ads. Because if the funnel is not working, it's not bringing people in organically. And when I say organically, I just mean without putting money behind it in ad spend. Facebook ads are just going to waste your money because Facebook ads will not fix a broken funnel. They will just give your money away. So making sure that those pieces are in place and are working. And then honestly, when it comes to running ads, I would say to get help from somebody who knows what they're doing, because it is so easy to waste money with ads. And I mean, I did it with my parents' money back in the day, just because I didn't know, like I spent so much time trying to figure it out. And I spent a lot of money also trying to figure it out. And I did get really good results, but it took time. And if you are the owner of your business, it's like you are best served really in your zone of genius, doing what you do best and not trying to figure out something that I know is very frustrating for a lot of people.
That is such good wisdom right there. And I honestly feel that way about so many areas of business. Like, hire somebody to, if not do it, help you do it. Of course, it's good to understand it yourself first, but doing that is so important. And when you start helping somebody, how long do you think it takes before they start getting the ROI that they're hoping for?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. And it depends so much on what their funnels look like and what they're doing. Because if you're running ads for list building, I mean, it's a it's a slow burn. It takes longer because you're warming people up for the next time that you're launching. If you are running ads for like a workshop and then you're promoting your course or you're promoting your program at the end of it, and I mean, you're going to see a return much faster. Yeah. So it really depends.
Yeah, I'm sure it depends on what the person is coming in with, like you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. So also, if you already have a large warm audience that's highly responsive to what you're putting out there, that makes a difference too. Versus like if you are just starting out and you don't have any audience at all, it's like it's going to take a lot longer to build that up before you really see the type of return you're looking for. Most likely.
I love that. That's so helpful.
Yay.
This was so helpful. I want to close with one question that you weren't expecting, but something that is really important for especially entrepreneurs, because a lot of entrepreneurs love to work and have a hard time stepping away to play and to rejuvenate their soul. So, what is one way that you have found really refreshes your soul?
Okay. So I fully recognize that I'm very privileged, but we live about 2 miles from the beach. So as often as possible, I just go for walks on the beach. I especially like to walk around sunset, and I always have my feet in the water, even when it's pretty cold out. We're in Florida though, so it's not ever like super, super cold. I mean, just, being outside and having that time to like, that is so needed for me. I also, things around water are like big. Like I take a lot of baths. I have a full setup so I can work from my bathtub if I'm not on calls. There's something about it that I just like, I love it. And it's like relaxing, but I'm also more productive. So,
oh my gosh, I love that so much. And I'm wondering to everybody who's listening, I wonder if they do that too. You know, how many people are secretly or not secretly working from their bathtub? So
I know.
let us know, like DM us and let us know if you do that too. I think you're secretly a mermaid.
Oh, it's not so secret. Yeah.
That is awesome. There is something about getting into nature though, too, you know, like you said, walking by the ocean.
Yeah.
And if you follow Jenn, if you go give her a follow on Facebook or Instagram, you will often see she will post stories about her walks along the ocean.
I can't help it. I saw a meme once that was like it was one of those like, ooh, like struggle ones where it's like, you see a sunset, but like, if like, how can you not take a picture of a sunset? Sometimes I'm like, I think I'm posting too many videos of the sun setting.
Oh, no. You're just delivering it to us. So if you're willing to share that moment with us, then please do that because I love it.
Cool.
I love it. That's great. So if people would like to get a hold of you and work with you, what is the best way that they can do that?
Yeah. JennPossick.com is going to be the easiest way to do that. I recently put out a 3-part private podcast about a simplified launch ads formula. That really goes into good detail about, what you really need to be able to run your ads. That you could check out at JennPossick.com/launch ads. And then I'm at Jenn Possick everywhere on social.
Well, I just want to vouch for you because I did go to that private podcast and it was amazing. And you are an excellent teacher. You really are. That's such a gift of yours. And I do know that you are so, like, your clients are so successful and you have this ads concierge service.
I do.
And yeah, and so I just wanted to highlight that as well as an option. And I'm sure do you want to explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah, sure. So I offer done for you services, which is ads management, but then I also offer done with you services where basically we work together to get your ads up and running and as successful as possible. So basically, we hop on Zoom, you share your screen, and we just get to work step by step. We do all the pieces together. And yeah.
I love that. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you were able to come and for being so generous with all of your wisdom. It was so great to hear all those things that I'm sure will really help people as they're building their business to feel encouraged and to also feel empowered. So thank you so much, Jenn.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so grateful that we had Jenn on the show today, and I have all the links for you to get a hold of her in the show notes. You can reach her on her website, on social media, or her private podcast, or her public podcast. So many options. Also, you can hit your launch goals without wasting time and money in Ads Manager. And if you're looking for more support, challenge, and inspiration in your business, I would love to have you apply to my mastermind. Check it out at jennargue.com.